Hello everyone, I'm Farmer Sim and welcome back to Saxlingham. I do hope you're all doing very well and having a great day. So as you can see, I'm out in the field cracking on from when we left off in the last episode where we harvested the barley in this field, and we're just getting the straw picked up, baled up, and we're going to get this loaded up into our bale storage system, Argsy's Anywhere object storage that I've got sorted out in one of the barns over on the farm there. But we've got so much to crack on with, we really have. Like I said in the last episode, this is the busiest farm I've ever worked on in Farming Simulator, so it is quite overwhelming, if I'm honest. It's, it does take a lot of thought, a lot of planning. What have I got to do next? What's coming next? So with that in mind, I have taken a good look at things and figured out what I need to do first. We've got so much to do. We've got the potato field next to us, which we need to get done, which I've been very much looking forward to getting my teeth into, but I have to put things first. One of those things is the cows. Now, those of you who watched the first episode last week know that one of the things that I really did want to do on this series, if at all possible, was to have grass-fed beef stock, just grass. Now, as you all know, the mechanics of the game don't allow cows to be fed grass and get 100% productivity from that. That's base game, but I've got to give a massive shout out to one of you guys out there, Eagles84DK. Massive thank you to you, mate, for leaving a comment in the last episode and letting me know of something that could be done in this respect. And that's what I've done. So what he suggested was to take a particular XML document from the map Klein Friesland, which does allow cows to get 100% productivity from just being fed grass, and transfer that over into the Saxlingham map, which is exactly what I've done. And now, if I go to my animal menu very quickly and show you, as you'll see, where's my cows? There we go. So, grass, 100%. They get 100% productivity from grass. They still get it from total mixed ration. They also get 100% from hay, and they get 100% from meadow. So that allows me to do what I wanted to do, which was have grass-fed beef stock, which is really, really cool. So with that in mind, now that I can do that, that has also opened up a couple of things that I needed to change out. One of the things, as you'll see, the money is now up to just under £65,000. What I've done is I've sold my TMR mixer. I don't need it. I'm not going to be feeding the cows TMR. So I've sold it and got rid of it. We've got about 30 grand for it. So, we never used it. It is what it is. There's also a couple of different approaches I'll be taking in respect of the grass. Essentially, I don't necessarily need to be obviously worrying about silage. Ideally, the three grass fields that we've got, I'm just going to be cutting and baling up into grass bales and feeding them to my cows and to my sheep. So with that in mind, I also don't necessarily need my pickup wagon that I've got as well, but I don't want to just sell things and get a load of money into the account. Yes, I've done it with the TMR mixer. It was just 30 grand, but the pickup wagon is worth about 80 odd grand. So if I do get rid of that, I'll probably just take the money away as well, and I won't profit from that, because I don't want to be just throwing money back into my account and make my life easier than it needs to be, if that makes any sense. I do still think I need to be keeping myself some kind of a challenge. So the main thing is the cows can now be fed grass, and that's brilliant. So I'm really happy with that. So Eagles84, mate, thank you very much for that information. I'm really grateful. So that's great. Onwards from that, as you will see, I am now in the Valtra that I made an attempt to purchase using Oz's hire purchase mod last episode as well. This has all been fixed. Now, this was essentially, it was I'm grateful. I'm happy that I found the issue, because it wasn't necessarily an issue with the hire purchase mod at all. It was actually a mod conflict, as it always ordinarily is in Farming Simulator, with all these different mods that we've got running, all the different XML codes and instructions that they work with. There's always ordinarily some kind of a conflict, and that the conflict actually lay very deep within the unlimited colour configuration mod that's done by Giants. Now, essentially what it was because I was using because I tried to paint this tractor in a custom colour that I'd created and saved myself, this dark green, and it was purely down to that. So I had a relatively very brief conversation with Oz, and as you'd expect, Oz was like, oh yeah, I can see what the problem is there, and bang, 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 fixed, done. So I was able to now purchase the tractor on finance in the custom colour, and everything's tickety-boo. So yeah, we've got my Valtra Q series now, our third workhorse on the farm, and I also did obviously pick up the new shiny Richard Weston Farmer Sim Edition trailer as well, so we've got that on the farm now, so that's great. So now, moving forward, we now have a monthly payment on our finance deals of about just under 14.5 grand a month, so I've got to make sure that we've got enough money to deal with that. So that's but yeah, I'm very grateful to Oz for getting this sorted. Awesome work, mate, as always. So the mod is now working absolutely perfectly, and I'm now in debt. So there we go. So yeah, like I said, we're baling up this straw. We'll get it loaded into the bale storage system that we've got over there, Argsy's Anywhere Object Storage. I did get a comment as well in the comments of the last episode as well, asking did I have a farmhouse. Now I know I did spend an enormous amount of time in the first episode going through, giving you the obligatory farm tour, as it were. I had to show you around this incredible farm that Chimera has built for me, but I did fail to show you the farmhouse, which is part of the map. It's one of Farm Sim Brisco's custom farmhouse models, and it's this one here. It's literally just next door to the farm, perfectly placed. This is where our chickens reside, our little chicken coop. And as you can see, it looks like a couple of them have actually escaped, haven't they? But yeah, it's literally right next door to the farm, so I can just walk home at the end of every day, so that's great. So I do have a farmhouse with a sleep trigger, so that's great. And I think in that respect, just catching up on things and getting myself up to date, I think that's pretty much us. Job-wise, what I need to crack on with next, like I said before, is I really do want to get into the potatoes and start getting them out the ground, but I need to focus and understand first and foremost that I need to get some more feed, some more grass into the cow barn. So I think the next job we're going to be doing, once we've got this straw baled up and into the storage system, is I need to focus on getting the first cut of grass done, and yeah, then getting that sorted. And then we also do have some wool pallets over at the sheep barn that need to be dealt with. And one thing I'm considering moving into the future, because the sheep have been quite busy already, we've got about 7 and a bit pallets ready to be sold, I suppose, but I'm trying to think about what to do and how to make a bit of an income moving into the future. So I am considering, yeah, I'm not going to do it just yet, I need to give it a bit more thought, but I'm considering possibly getting even further into debt and getting a big loan and purchasing one of the 4 empty production site areas that Farm Sim Brisco has created on the map, and popping down a couple of productions, and those productions would be a spinnery to turn the wool into fabric, and then potentially a tailor after that to turn that fabric into clothes, because I know from my previous experience on Court Farms in Farm Sim 22 that making clothes was a very, very lucrative venture. And I am running Courseplay here, and as you can see, we've got a bale in the way, so I'm just going to shift that out of the way. Although Courseplay is clever enough to figure itself out. I have just moved it out of the way. Come on, mate. It is going to bump into another one, though, no doubt. The downside to running the headlands first, I'm just running the course here that we ran with the harvester here, just so I can pick up the swaths. So yeah, that's something to consider in the future. That's something I'm going to consider as a bit of an income, because it can be extremely lucrative. And obviously the wonderful thing that the Farm Sim Brisco has provided on this map is these empty production sites, and they're big enough to take several production systems, so that I'm going to choose, if I do go down this route, I'm going to need to get a loan of about 180 grand to pay for the empty site itself. Let's see if Courseplay can work this one out itself while I babble on. But yeah, I need about 180 grand to pay for the site itself, and then potentially somewhere in the region of about 300 grand to buy the 2 production sites. So we shall see. Look at that, brilliant, awesome stuff. I am running the very latest version of Courseplay that was released a couple of days ago, working perfectly. So yeah, things to consider anyway. So moving into the future, the wool production, if I do go down that route, could end up being very lucrative, because I do need to consider some kind of extra income on the farm moving into the future. So it will involve getting into vast amounts of debt, I appreciate that, but it will also hopefully eventually turn into some kind of lucrative business. We shall see. But for now, I need to crack on. I need to get these straw picked up and baled up, and then we'll jump in the telehandler and we will get all the bales picked up, loaded on the trailer, and loaded into the bale storage system. So let's get cracking, and I'll see you in a bit. There we go. Straw baled up. We didn't do too bad off of that numbers-wise. We got 52 bales at 7,500 litres of bale. So that has given us, just from that field alone, 390,000 litres of straw. That in a few moments' time will all be nicely stowed away in our bale storage facility over here in the big shed. Now I do need to be mindful of getting this lot under here as well, because it did seem to foul on a tree a bit. Yep, there we are. We've fouled on the tree. I need to pull myself over a little bit more, just to the right there. I think actually what I actually need to do, because I did do a bit of fettling around the other day. Let me just get rid of that tree. That was the problem. That shouldn't have been there, because I did update the map. The map was updated and it did require a new save game. So what I did was, obviously there is a way of taking one save and putting it into another, essentially, and getting not losing, sorry, any of your placeables or any of that. So I did do that, but what it did do was it did bring back a few of the trees that weren't meant to be there. So that was one of them that I'd missed. So it's actually made the entrance to that gateway a little bit easier for me to manage, which is great. So yeah, like I say, 390,000 litres of straw now stowed away here, which is great. But one thing I have been doing, as I've been getting this job sorted, and this is all down to the fact that I can now do what I said before, and that's feed my beef stock nothing but grass. What it has done is it has actually opened up the possibility for me to achieve what I wanted to achieve without necessarily getting into debt. So let's take all them off. It's just these last ones there. There we are. Lovely stuff. 52 bales. There we go. They look a bit odd, don't they? Hexagon-shaped bales. Anyway, yeah, done. But yeah, like I say, what it has enabled me to do is potentially achieve what I wanted to achieve in respect of the wool production moving forward. Now, if I consider that I've got a lot of equipment on this farm that I was going to be using in the fullness of time to produce silage. I've got the forage harvester, I've got the forage header, both forage headers actually. Let's just drop this trailer off here, because what I'm going to go and do is just connect up the pallet fork, and we're going to go and load up the pallets of wool that we've got there by the sheep barn, stick them on the trailer and throw them all into the storage facility here, just for now, get them out of the way while I make this decision on what to do and what to move, how to move forward. So like I said, I've got a load of equipment that I wanted to start with on the farm that is going to enable me to, that would have enabled me to deal with silage. We've got the forage trailer, we've got the likes of the tedder, which obviously has nothing to do with silage, but it was going to be for creating hay, which I don't necessarily need anymore. I can feed the sheep and the cows grass. I don't need to worry about any hay. So we've got the tedder. We've also got the windrower. I don't need the windrower because I'm not going to be I'm not going to be rowing up any hay, because the mower that we've got, the Samaz front and rear butterfly mower setup, that has a self-rowing function. So I can mow my grass, I can row it up, and I can pick it up with the baler, and both of my cow barns take from the bale. So that's very helpful. So what it does mean is that if I wanted to invest some money in a plot of land, the plot of land to build my production systems on, and also the two production systems, the spinnery and the tailor shop, I could potentially sell a whole load of equipment and not have to get into debt, which I'm strongly considering. Now, I know I've done this before. Those of you who have been with me for a while on the channel will know that I have done this a couple of times before, and this just wasn't a plan. This wasn't something I set out to do, but it's just the changing of things, and it's all down to the fact that I can now feed my cows nothing but grass. So like I say, I don't need to be worrying about foraging any corn to make chaff to throw into a bunker to create silage. I don't need to be rowing up my grass to make hay. I don't need a handful of things. So I could potentially sell the forage harvester, the header, the grass pickup header, the forage wagon, the trailer, two of the silage trailers, and I think that's it. And the rower and the tedder. All in all, all that equipment, if I just sold it out of the menus, and that's not taking things to the dealership and getting a few extra quid, if I sell all of that out the menus, that's going to give me based on its current valuation anyway, that's going to give me 657, or just under 658,000 quid. The investment needed to buy the land to build the production systems on, and the 2 production systems, comes to 606,480 quid. So if I was to do this, I'd actually be quids in, which I find incredible. But I would like your opinions, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, should I go forward with this? In my mind, it seems a no-brainer. But like I said, there was no plan for me to do this, because I started this series. I started it relatively quickly. The map came out. Kim built me my farm, and I wanted to get cracking with it straight away. So I sat down and I kind of said to myself, right, this is what I want to do. We've got pigs, we've got cows, we've got sheep. I'm going to need silage. I'm going to need this, that, and the other. So I set myself out with a load of equipment to be able to manage and deal with all of those jobs. But now that's changed, hasn't it? So I did mention before that if I did sell another bit of equipment, I may well, I don't want to cheat. I don't want to just throw a load of money into the bank and give myself a load of money and find things easier as I go along. There has got to be some kind of a challenge, hasn't there? But with this now in mind, with the whole concept of wanting to, move forward and possibly make some money from this wool, I think it could be a good idea. But I would like very much your opinion on it, ladies and gentlemen. So let me know in the comments. I'm not going to do anything with that just yet. I'll obviously, we'll get this video out. You guys watch it. That's the wrong end of the trailer. I want to start from this one, and you let me know what you think, because there's still plenty to do moving forward. We've got the pigs to deal with. That's an entirely new thing for me. We do have on the farm. We do still have a little bit of product to keep us going for the pigs. Now we've got a bit of corn, we've got a bit of barley, as obviously that we harvested in the last episode. We've got some sunflower. We've got a field of sunflowers that'll be ready to harvest come October, November time, and we also have a very small amount of potatoes and sugar beet currently in the sheds that we can pick from to keep the pigs fed for a little bit of time into the future. But of course, we do still have our fields as well to go. Now, initially, the sugar beets were going to be a cash crop, which they still may be, because we do have the field of potatoes as well. But having all these ideas in my mind now, it's food for thought at the end of the day. I do need to focus on the pig food and get them sorted. Now, everything regarding harvest times and everything moving forward, the corn isn't going to be ready to harvest till October, November time. The barley we've got, it's in the silo. It is very difficult to talk and concentrate and not, especially when you're trying to load up pallets. The barley's in the silo. The potatoes are ready to go, but we need to get those done by the end of September. So we've got the rest of today and 2 more days on top of that to get the potatoes harvested. The sugar beet is October, November time. The sunflowers are going to be November to harvest, and the soybean field is also going to be October, November time as well. So there's a little bit of time to think about things, but like I say, most of those crops are all going to be set aside to make a backlog of product for the pigs. That's essentially going to be it. So, but it's just what to do with this wool. Should I go forward and do this and make a bit of money, well, sell a load of equipment, make a bit of money, give myself the opportunity to get into a bit of production with the spinnery and the tailor shop, which I do quite like the idea of. I've got to say, like I say, I experienced it back in Farm Sim 22 over on Court Farms, and it did turn out to be quite a lucrative thing. So I am keen to do it, and what I'm also looking forward to doing is, if I do go forward with this idea, and is doing a bit of landscaping in the production site that I've got in mind. Now, there's 4 production sites in total on the map that Farm Sim Brisco has set aside for us to put our own things in. And the one I've got in mind, before we carry on with this, I'll jump into the menu and show into the map PDA and show you. So you've got the 3 sites over here, 87, 88 and 89, over by the dealership, but you also have plot 61 here. Now, this comes in at 186,480, but it's this one feels right because it's a little bit closer to our farm. So, but what I'd like to do, if we go and have a visit very quickly, this is it here. So it's nice and spacious. There's plenty of room. But what I've got in mind, and I'm hoping this would work, because this site will take a spinnery and a tailor shop very nicely. There's plenty of space. You can probably get 3 or 4 production systems on here. But yeah, if I was to place down both of them, and then I'm going to landscape this whole area and make it look and feel a little bit more, you know, set in and built in, as it were, as opposed to it just being a big concrete area with a couple of buildings parked in. I always do like to, you know, landscape my areas like that, paint it down with a bit of grass, put some trees down and all that kind of stuff, and just make it look a bit better. So you know, I quite like that idea, essentially. It's got a long story short. So please do let me know in the comments what you think I should do, ladies and gentlemen. Should I go forward with that, or should I? Well, the reality is, all that equipment that I listed off before, the forage harvester, the headers and stuff, technically right now, moving forward, we're not going to need them. So I either, what do? Do I just get rid of them and pretend that I didn't have them in the first place, or sell them and use the money that we get from them to invest in the tailor shop and the spinnery and the land? So let me know what you think. So anyway, I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to get these pallets all loaded away into the storage facility for now. I actually don't need to worry about being too neat on the trailer, do I? There's only a couple more. So yeah, and then we're going to crack on with the grass work, because that's the next thing I do need to focus on. We need to get some grass prepared, mowed, baled up, and fed to the cows and filled up. Now, another thing I have done as a result of this whole grass-fed thing with the cows, I have increased the capacity of both of our cow sheds to a few 100,000 litres. Initially, it was one of them was about 30 or 40,000 litres, the other one was just north of 60. So I've increased both of those cow sheds to have a capacity of about 600,000 litres. So it means that we'll be able to essentially just cut the grass. Hey up, don't want to be doing that. Cut the grass and essentially throw a field, possibly, into each of the cow sheds. And that, you know, doesn't necessarily take loads of work off my head, but it just means I can load them up with a load of food and let them tick over, so I can focus initially anyway on everything else. So yeah, let me know what you think, ladies and gentlemen. And before I make any decision, before I do anything with it, I'll wait for this episode to be out, read the comments, see what you say, and go from there. So, like I say, I'll get this done, get all these lot loaded up, and I'll pick you up in a bit. I think we're going to use the New Holland to get a bit of mowing done. And yeah, we'll hitch up the mowers, get into one of the grass fields, and get first cut. I do love the fact that this tractor's got reverse beeping. It's absolutely brilliant. There we go. Right, hitched up, front and rear mowers. Now I am still, obviously I've not been on this farm for many hundreds of hours yet, so I'm still finding my feet with the place, obviously, because it's been designed by somebody else and built by somebody else. I'm still familiarising myself with how to get to all the different fields and such, but I just love the way it's laid out. It is a beautiful farm. But yeah, we're going to go work in field 25, which is just through this little ford. We've got our own private ford on the farm here. I know that one of the features of this map is that really nice ford that's out in the centre of the map there. Well, I've got my own here. How cool's that? So yeah, this is the field we're going to work in. Get this grass cut. Get first cut done out of this. Now let me just bring up the F1 menu and make sure that we have the right swath function activated. Alright, wide spreading. Nope. Swath dropping. Left, right, wide, swath dropping. That's the centre. That's brilliant. Perfect. That's what we want. So we got that one unfolded and drop down. So yeah, I think I'll throw a bit of music behind this job now as well. We'll get this job done, and we'll get the follow-up bale job. Now the grass, yield-wise, I've no idea what we're going to get from it yet. I still haven't got the precision farming data plumbed into the map yet, so I need to do that at some point. We'll probably have to just lease out the one of the machines and scan it in at some point in the near future. But the yield is going to be what it is. This is just as the map has given it, so there's no, you know, it'll be lacking in pH value in its lime. It won't have much nitrogen fertilizer on there, so it'll be what it'll be. But this is our biggest grass field. This is 6.4 acres, so what we get out of this will be the most we can get at the minute from the 3 fields, so individually anyway. So anyway, let's crack on, get this done. Right then, there we go. Grass mowed and picked up, baled, loaded onto the trail here. Now, all in all, we got 33 grass bales off of that field, 5,500 litres of bale, sorry, gave us 181,500 litres. So I've essentially just split them half and half across these two cow barns as best as possible anyway. So, yeah, that one uploaded there. Thankfully, these barns do take from the bale, so it does make this job a little bit more straightforward. I'll tell you what though, ordinarily I don't tend to go for Lizard branded equipment on in Farming Simulator. I don't know why, I just prefer to use branded equipment. I don't know, maybe just for a realism thing. But these auto bale grabs from Black Sheep Modding are absolutely brilliant. They are on the mod hub. What I am going to be doing in the links of in the description of this video, and I do apologise for this, I meant to do it in the description for episode 1, but I am going to try and put as many or all of the links to all of the mods that I am using here in the description for all of you to grab if you so wish. it is something, like I say, that I did mean to do in the last one. But there we go. So the cows have now got a little bit of food anyway to move forward. We've still got 2 more fields to go. The 2 grass fields that we've got left aren't as big as the one we've just done. And as I say, we still need to do the good old field prep. We need to I need to get hold of the precision farming data. I need to lime, and of course I need to fertilise to bring up the yield of this grass as best as possible. Now that it is our primary feed for our cows, we need to get as much of it as we can, but either way, we've not done too bad out of that one, and we'll just get this last 3 stack of bales loaded in now, and we'll go and have a look at the numbers and see what they've got. There we go. I do like that, I've got to say. I am becoming much more accustomed and really am enjoying running around baling, and it was never something that I really fully enjoyed, if I'm honest, but it's taken me a bit of time. But now it's one of the most relaxing things to do in Farming Simulator as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I know the grab makes it a little bit easier, but it's still a really nice thing, in my personal opinion anyway. Alright, there we go. That will do. So let's jump into our cattle and have a quick look-see. So the youngsters over here have got 115,000 in total and just under 90,000 litres of grass there. And in the stall in front of us, they've got just over 103,000 litres. So yes, it doesn't look very much now because, like I said, I did increase the entire capacity of both of these barns to about 600,000 litres. I didn't have that number in my head. I just thought that'll do, you know, give them a load. So that's all good. But there we go. The cows have got their first dose of feed, so I'm really happy with that. And like I said, I'm really properly chuffed that I can now call my cattle grass-fed beef cattle. That's really quite cool. I just need to actually check. Yep, there we go. A point I forgot to check before. Previously, up until starting recording this episode, their productivity levels were hitting the ceiling of 80% because all they were getting previously was the hay. But now, as you can see, their productivity is up to 100%, as are the little ones over here. So that is absolutely brilliant. Dead chuffed with that. So, anyway, I think for today's episode, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to call it here. Thank you very much for watching. I really do hope you have enjoyed the video and found it a little bit of fun and a little bit interesting. As always, if you're new to the channel and you like my content, you like the way I'm doing things, please consider hitting that subscribe button and jumping on board, joining the channel. Please give the video a like if you can. It does do wonders. Helps the YouTube algorithm do its thing. And as always, there are a host of links in the video description below with my Giants Partner promo code. If any of you are in the market for purchasing Farming Simulator 25 and you like the idea of supporting the channel and helping out a creator, as always, I would be massively appreciative. And on top of that, if any of you are in the market for an online server to play with your mates and you like the idea again of supporting the channel and helping out a creator, please consider using my G-Portal affiliate link, which again will be in the video description below. Any help and support there also would be massively appreciated. So, thank you very much for your time again, ladies and gentlemen. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.